Hey, this is Misery Loves Company, a weekly social reading series hosted by miserytourism.com. Every Friday, we welcome outsider and transgressive writers to come and share their work with us. And we're doing a kind of special event this week. This week, we are doing a special launch reading for Colton Morgan's book, Abuser. So, Colton has hand selected all the readers for tonight, and it's kind of it's I think our second collab. Is it our second or third collab with Pig Rose Publishing, Jeff? I I don't remember. I think it's number two. I think it's
This would be
number
the
two.
second. Yeah, this would be the second one.
Awesome. So Jeff, actually you are up first, so I think you have a little bit to say about Colton's book, and then I you can launch right into your reading.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, or good day, depending on where you are. Uh, so yeah, uh, it's been such a pleasure editing, working on this book. We've been hammering at this for months, many months, and I just wanted to first say, thank you, obviously, to William and Rudy and Misery Loves Company. There's a lot of love. You get some company here, and you also get some misery, which I'll be bringing the second I start reading. But yeah, Abuser, I'll just hold it up. I don't know if people can see this super good uh, on their screen, but it is out. Came out on the 19th. Um, One thing I should mention, Adam Johnson, another awesome poet, awesome writer, did do some of the editing on this book. So Colton and Adam had a back and forth, and I feel like, that collaboration really brought things, sharpened the knife as sharp as it could be. So it's a little bit hard for me to explain what an awesome use of language and beautiful piece of art this book is, but it's kind of like trying to explain to somebody, what Norm Macdonald is like, or you know, fucking Jodorowsky or something, or a really sick album. Uh, in fact, a lot of people when I post this think it is some new album or something because it kind of has that aesthetic a little bit. But pick up a copy, check it out. I feel like it'll move you, and I just want to give a sincere shout out to Colton. You did a great job, and it's fucking awesome. So cool, man. Um, so I probably should zip my lip there and get off the soapbox. Um, I'm just gonna read a couple poems, and then Josh Sherman inspired me to do some auto fiction, so I'll fucking do that too. So, uh, first one here is a poem. I titled it "Star Flesh." My biological father called her a fucking bitch. She'd reply, "You scumbag asshole, a Robotnik ass motherfucker." My brother would stare across the table into my eyes, like who the fuck knows, past the box of Honey Nut Cheerios. So, for the sake of me and my brother, they tried to do the earthly divorce. My mother went to a Gestalt therapist who spit the stupid talk. My father went gay golfing, driving around in his stiff leather seat Mercedes like a gaping asshole singing sea shanties. Oh, my captain, oh, my captain. I remember the day he left. He said nothing to my mother or my brother. He whispered in my ear, "Love you, my boy, Jeffrey, my little boy." I longed for 1,000 possums to play with and to draw cartoons with under the moon. A month later, a woman I didn't know picked me up from elementary school. She said her name was Gina, the hairdresser, a so called Italian, nothing less than a fucking Napolitan. They left the rotten beef for me to eat on break, then report to the boss, a woman who smelled like hours of perms. She took me to her townhouse in Massachusetts. Her son was at his deadbeat father's. She had two Doberman pinchers. I had that back test that proved I had allergies to dogs. A proud pilgrim in this land. My father knew this geography well his whole life. Macked the knife in Boca like a bitch, talking to Carmine and Anthony. He returned wholeheartedly with things to do. After all the yelling about the bills and the crying, he left me with her in this strange house. I started to wheeze, turned blue. He forgot to pack my inhaler. But Mackie's back in town. Before my father returned there, after work or golfing or sailing, Gina shut me in her son Kurt's room. Kurt had a Star Wars collection, a Death Star poster. I started with anxiety and gasping for air. My eyes rolled back, and the vacuum lungs cleaned the atmosphere, loud enough to alarm Gina. She came in and picked up Kurt's replica lightsaber, hit me in the back and the head until I passed out on Kurt's bed. I woke to the bright light coming in through the curtains under the Death Star poster. Obi-Wan, suck my dick, you sellout traitor. And my father standing over Gina screaming. Her crying just like my mother, the same face, only cheaper. He lay me in the back seat of that cold leather Mercedes. My uncle told me years later that my maternal grandfather knew a man who once was a cop in Sicily before moving to Rhode Island, exiled by Mussolini. He owned a landscaping business. The Southern Italians knew him and were angry at the man. His Guatemalan workers never said a word. My uncle said a minion of this man found my father at a bar on a late night in Providence. The knife is the truth. He had tattooed on his forearm. He told my father to pick a limb, and he chose the arm. Had a cast on for months like a statue, another bitch on the block, the talk of the town, gossip over anisette and coffee and biscotti. I have a picture of him holding me with that cast wrapped around my chest and my brother in his good arm. Return to your family or you die, the Sicilian said. Go home, the place you ran from. Be a fucking man. No one ever heard from Gina again. My father took us to Supercuts from then on in, a normal hair salon. We went on vacations. He never raised his voice again, just ate 2 boxes of ringdings at 2 a.m. and slept on the couch downstairs, eating sweets forever and ever. Every Christmas, the lonesome nights were over. I'd say it was Whoville, but it wasn't. Snowfall, holly, lights, and Sinatra. Guilt is a useless emotion, as was my father's hairdresser. All right, this next one I titled Chantilly Lice. Chantilly lace with an 80s face, 2013, forgotten now. Danced with Paul Simon per orders of Ghislaine Maxwell again at the sock hop. In a Woonsocket High School Letterman sweater and white lace stockings, in my green and yellow cheerleader skirt. She put roofies in the sour fruit punch. I'd always have to clean the bathroom stalls, a Shabbos goy for the religious neighbor. With my red panties pulled down, I was the toilet brush. The brush that the one Ghislaine called the father had named Adolf Hitler. I clean the yummy drain with my thin plastic tongues. They flew me to like a beach in LA, only better. Pool tables and cherry popsicles melted in the heat. They made me take a helicopter in the middle of the night. I packed some aloe like Ghislaine told me to. The worst customers were reserved for me upon the orders of Jeffrey Epstein. I was the best cleaner of the yum yum scum. Baking grease from the bottom of a pan, the pubic hair soap toenail soup. I'd eat out every anus. Stephen Hawking was the ultimate fungus fuck. Hard rock pebbles from the inner ear, mildew personality, a half human kidney stone. His Haitian nurse didn't care much, never got under the old eggplant. The moist areas where the mold always grows, an underwater ass pit foundation. The area known to the chosen ones as the temple. I went down on that husky pumpkin stalk all the same, as the whore I was born to be. A dollar is a dollar where I come from, burning tires on New Year's celebrations, black smoke and hot dogs, cases upon cases of Coors Light, shrimp and corn, hot pepper flakes and salt. It is the genetics, according to Stephen, his voice like a distant urinal flush. I try to forget about Bill Clinton. He put a cigar where it don't belong. Impossible to puff it from down there. Then he made me clean the floor while he smoked it. Pepper and leather on a cell call with Netanyahu. Don't flush me, I'm a tampon. They'd get big mad and bomb babies from the island. Tiny skulls broken. The therapist said, you just need to drink more. Love hurts. Killing and cleaning, then more killing. All right, here's the autofiction, and I'm scared. This is goofy, but they titled it Some Horrible Things That Have Happened to Me on the Internet. I tried a recipe for an elixir that cured depression that I found on Reddit. 1 tablespoon salt, 2 teaspoons cayenne pepper, 1 tablespoon local honey, 1 tablespoon extra virgin olive oil, 1 cup apple cider vinegar, 1 cup warm water. I puked for 2 hours, but funny enough, was not depressed during those 2 hours. Lulz, epic self-own. I was lonely and went on Omegle, and a man dressed up like the Joker called me a kike faggot. A man on Facebook offered to sell me 1.5 acres of land in Gaza City. The only stipulation was I couldn't break ground on building until March 2025. I tweeted a picture of Ukrainian soldiers giving Roman, aka Nazi, salutes in 2021. 2 years later, the account Anal Praise, devoted to gape porn, liked and retweeted it. I had to look at both again. My former bandmates threatened to sue me for writing a book about my band, and all my friends liked and shared their posts, rat fucking me, then blocked me. Lamest cancellation of all time. I demand a recancel. I had an anon Facebook page named Calypso. Then I booked an Airbnb in Aruba, and the woman who owned it called me Cal the entire trip. And then we named our son Cal, all unrelated. My father, whom I do not follow, has repeatedly commented about showering with my wife on her Facebook page. Many people block me on Twitter X because they think I'm Mather Schneider. A lady sold me a wooden boat on Craigslist, but it was actually a model wooden boat made by her husband, who died of cancer the week before. So I had to buy it for $400. A recent iPhone update allows AI to match emojis to speech, which infiltrated my electronic health record. And when a client said her girlfriend died, it sent up a sad face on the screen. Nudes went to the family shared photos app. My Anon Prepper themed YouTube page with 76,000 followers was permabanned for including a thumbnail photo of a book I published from my 900 follower Twitter X page. Varg Vikernes from Burzum called me an Untermensch on Twitter X for pointing out typos in his book. Tao Lin blocked me in 2018 for unknown reasons. I will never be published in Harper's Magazine. All right, that's all. Thank you.
Oh my God, Jeff. Oh my God, that was spectacular. I first of all, I love that last piece. The It's so good because all of these things are like superficially things that could happen to anyone on the internet, right? But on an individual level, each of them is so fucking absurd. It's so hilarious. And like so entirely believable at the same time. I love the Mather Snyder one because I'm sure that has happened to you on multiple occasions since Mather is such a menace on Twitter. Oh God, I don't know. I love Mather. He's a legend, though. No, geez, it was just like one hilarious anecdote after another. The Omegle one killed me. I don't even know, know why it did. Um, but anyway, those aside, I also really love the poems, Jeff. I really dig what you're doing with the Chantilly Lice poem, where you start like there are other versions of this, right? Like if somebody was writing an Epstein poem, there are other versions of that are much more like self-serious and much more focused on like the human cost. But you do something really interesting here, which is like that you link it up directly to like 50s Americana, right? With the Chantilly lace thing with and you open with this like 50s American kind of high school fantasy thing and get the audience hooked there. And then it becomes about Epstein. And then it becomes about the like abject, horrifying grossness of of his island and of what the the people there encountered. And also you were like the poem like fixates so singly so so much so on the like grossness of the experience. Like this is just such a viscerally repulsive poem, which I think is a good way to go about it because there are other approaches which would like reduce it to just like a human interest thing or whatever, where we're so supposed to like gasp in horror, but also it's kind of salacious and we're like the true crime thing where they're selling you on the horror and they're trying to like get you hooked on the story at the same time. But instead, you cast all that off and you focus like single-mindedly on just how like disgusting experience would be. And of course, it's very funny too. The stuff about Stephen Hawking is truly repulsive. And the first one is just fantastic, and it's fantastic in a way that a lot of your poems are fantastic, which is like tonally and abstractly it's one thing, right? Like it's you would say, oh, this is a poem about a troubled family or whatever. This is like a poem, a coming of age poem. But in the details, in the like line by line, moment by moment details, it does not resemble that at all. Like there, even though the structure is this thing we're all familiar with, like the actual details of this thing, the specifics are so entirely unique and just subtly surreal without being completely detached from reality. Anyway, these are great pieces, Jeff, and thank you for sharing them.
100%. I appreciate that commentary so much, William. Looking forward to everybody else reading. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. And Adam is up next, and Adam could not be with us tonight because he's in Florida, the lucky bastard. So he's prepared a video reading for us and then a short, like, audio reading. Rudy, do you think you can share your screen here and share these?
Yeah, I'll hit up the YouTube one first.
Yeah, yeah, video first and then the audio one.
Do that. Okay. Incoming screens here in a few seconds here.
This is the Feeling of Love by Morgan Reed. Death swings me by the feet and throws me into a YouTube comment defending God. Anonymous messages tell me to kill myself, and notes on my door ask if my parents know I disappoint them. 2:05 a.m. image attached. Dick pic currently supply and demand. We are most subdued. Energy seeps into the mundane, and the profane grabs you by the throat and hurls you into the atmosphere. No, he didn't touch me, I swear. Cartoons surround me in a smothered furnace. The microcarbon spirits chain binds my arms into the echo chamber as cyber angels. With burning wings watch, the 15-year-old meth heads find out I'm bi-curious and threaten to fuck me up if I do anything while we're rooming together at the inpatient program. I forgot myself and write out the definition of codependency 10 times on a piece of paper using a red marker. I'm coming in the shower, thinking about the girl who tried to light herself on fire. I dry off and try not to look at my other roommate who tried to kill himself by running into a chainsaw, parenthetically, after he attempted to kill himself by creating mustard gas. Air quality, 50, good. Sunrise, 7:25 a.m. Sunset, 5:01 p.m. Humidity, 89%. Feels like 15. H, 28F. L, 10F. Pressure, 30.44. Precipitation, 3 inches. Visibility, 8 miles. UV index, 0. Chance of snow, 85%. God's silent service, angels cry, white sticky paste, heaven's frozen bliss. Visible ice breath, fogs up worldly perception, clouded happiness. Cold woman walking, down roads with wet, shiny slush, wearing trash bag shoes. Blackbirds sit on trees. Swallows run to the bushes. Robins hide and sing. Shimmering flakes fall down from grand clouded skies of soft destruction. When I look into your SSR eyes, Soulful, simmering, resourceful, I see you climb giant daggers and drag your feet through fields of sobering grains. You told me you didn't want to kill yourself anymore, and now I feel self-conscious about the rope sitting on my coffee table. You're always steps ahead. I live in the shadow of your inevitability. Please don't move on without me. I'm holed up in the nothingness between my ears, sitting in a chair in an empty network space surrounded by plaster and wood. My splinter-cut gums burn dark red as my teeth are hit by a belt sander, releasing a hard hiss. On impact, my tongue licks out for help. This is the feeling of love. Travels in the Panama. Boy, I'd sure like to be there, says Larson. Who ain't spoiled, roly-poly pumpkin? Let's look out and beyond. This window is made of, well, glass. Larson's up lip is split up from his falling out with face fuck. They're friends again, though. Larson is in the travel agents. How about Panama, Esquire? Okay. Orpheus is descending, says Lars. Sneaky Pete in walks and plants a flag. Thinking on Panama, to which Sneaky Pete whistles. What's the flights be liking? The agent is all ears. And the accommodationalings? Well, friend, says the agent, we'll get into all of that. A voice like velvet. About 3.75 hours and laters, Larson and Sneaky Pete are in Larson's sleeping bag with a felt-lined pouch of unsalted walnuts. Sneaky Pete is stroking a stolen rabbit's foot. Larson is flaccid but comely. They neck like two Homo sapiens. Sneaky Pete shoots lemon. Larson is with this pleased. It'll be super duper, says Pete. I can't wait to see the canal, says Larson. The parade. Eccentricities don't mean shit to Larson and Facefuck. They're stuck folding lettuce at the farmer's market after their little imbroglio in the Denny's. Larson is armed with his Kimber 45 and brass knucklings. He been carrying his Kimber since Flying Ginny took his 38, LOL. They kiss and make up. In the early afternoon, Larson is in a parade of socialites of a sort. It's Pride. And Larson is blackout drunkenly. Has spent his folding money and this and that, needs me a flush oval, he thinks. There are shirtless one-horses and old beans strippers. He sidles, idles, fumbles, and gropes. His clothings are gone, but he's paid. What of details, whatevs. Outside, but not entirely beyond, the vacuous festivities, Larson pumps into Mossy Mark and cuddles. They smoke up and compare tats, ramble, shoot, pop out, and touch navels. Larson is satisfied that there are always people to fuck with. Mark shows Larson his peg leg, and they both laugh and howl and say their goodbyes. Tired but in high spirits, Larson retires on this extreme Saturday. Ambiguous. Larson sees a Goodyear blimp. He knows the ropes. Johnson, Stover at Yale, he thinks. Plus, I need red onion for my stew. Larson's phone rings. It's raunchy Phil, from Wessex or somethingly. Compartmentalize it, Yankee. Hello, Governor. They meet up and smoke cigars. Larson sells Phil a handgun, and thus they depart, somewhat drunk and figurative. It's been a while, so Larson meets Squander at their watering hole, the underage, colloquially. It's really an Applebee's LLC. Come to think of it, it's baloney. Inside, some pixie is waxing over a Jesus revolution and some settlement money. A fake knee, a fake shoulder, fake everything. She was almost robotically and sexy like. Tonight, Larson is vag obsessed. He hooks into her with yag bombs and soft speech. Something about walleye fishing at his unc's. Sob shit. They make it. Or almost. You see, Larson is perplexed. He thought it was a woman. And that ain't no fucking woman, General Three-Fingered Salute. Salt rinds and the flutter of a curtain. We won't talk about it. Promise. Larson turns up in Fargo. An apartment. January 2020 hyphen. Sound of sad shuffling feet. The creak of an old bathroom door. A light switch. And the hum of electronically. And the smell of Capri Slim menthols. Larson looks in and at himself. His face is half covered in Sharpie. He deduces he was sleeping on his sideling. The graffiti on his cheeks and forehead consist of monstrous penises and LOLs. Larson regrets meeting with Hungry Kenneth, who soft-sold him on a back rub that led straight to hell. Didn't help that Ken looked like a doll and said his family owned half the Tide Company. Larson is on his own. With coffee, he reads from Severance's journal, then scribbles some notes. Indent. False pride. Parenthetically. Include more. Page 131. End parenthetical. Need one to throw my hooks into, like sad Rolf, who got hisself saved. To hell with me. The dippy dro. The runaround. Guilty, guilty, false witnessing. Here to there. Anywhere. From place to place. AA will never do it. Maybe becoming a Jew?
Now, I think he had one more recording that he sent after the fact.
Yep, I'm gonna pause the screen share and then I'm gonna share that one. That's a little file. So
And also, if anyone wants to purchase Adam's book, I just put the link in the chat.
There sat down once a thing on Henry's heart. So heavy, if he had 100 years and more, and weeping, sleepless, and all them time, Henry could not make good. Starts again always in Henry's ears. The little cough somewhere, an odor, a chime. And there is another thing he has in mind, like a grave Sienese face. 1,000 years would fail to blur the still profiled reproach of, ghastly, with open eyes, he attends, blind. All the bells say, too late. This is not for thinking, for tears. Never did Henry, as he thought he did, end anyone, and hacks her body up, and hide the pieces where they may be found. He knows. He went over everyone, and nobody's missing. Often he reckons in the dawn them up. Nobody is ever missing.
So I forgot to mention before playing that was Adam reading Dream Song 29 by John Berryman. And holy shit. I don't know, guys. I feel like we need to get Adam to record readings for us like every fucking week because that was tremendous. Adam's Adam's not here with us, so I'm not going to do like a critique of his work, but I will say, man, the car wash intro at the beginning of that reading was so fucking good, and his cadence, his performance was just beautifully on point. I don't think he could have done any more justice to those pieces. So it's really wonderful shit. Thank you, Adam, wherever you are. And Keith is up next. Keith. Here,
Okay, I'm working on it.
no, I just put the link in the chat.
I am moving screens around. I'm still kind of in shock over Adam's reading. I think it must be something about being in Florida.
It was
He
so,
has never he's never really read like that.
That's it. All of the best performances come out of Florida, right? All of the best Misery Loves Company performances.
Well, Adam's certainly is. So I was going to say some things, but to open, but I think Jeff said everything opened very well. He said everything. I echo everything that Jeff said in his introduction.
Hey Keith, sorry, before, do you want me to share the thing you?
What thing?
Oh,
Did I? The picture?
yeah.
Oh yeah. The picture can go up.
Do you want me to screen share it, or do you want me to just? I don't know.
No, I'm just gonna put the picture in the chat when he gets to that story.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's not an obscene picture now. Don't anybody worry about it. Okay. Colton, congratulations on your book. I know you've put a lot of work into it. A lot of effort. Colton's writing, that was a great sampling of it from Adam's reading and a good sampling of Adam's work too. Colton's writing is very unique. It's interesting. It makes you think. Yeah. Sometimes it's straightforward. Other times you have to do a little digging, and the more you dig, the more you'll find. You can read it at different times and get different feelings. It's his first book, Eyes Impaled by Spikes. I keep it right on the top of my bookcase, and I read it through a couple of times, and just every now and then I'll pick it up and just read random paragraphs or stories or sections. It's just amazing writing, great writing. And Jeff, thanks for supporting him and supporting Adam too, and getting these books out to the world. And William and Rudy, thanks for hosting these special book launch readings where we introduce books and writers and books to the world. So tonight I've got 3 pieces I'd like to read. And to introduce them, I wrote a sentence. You never know where you may find inspiration to write, nor where that writing may take you. We're going to begin in a cemetery. We're going to end in a poem. And in the middle, I'm going to read a story about a 20-something-year-old guy in a photograph. So the first piece is titled 20 Random Observations on the Finite State of Life. Moving into the suicide lane, turning into the cemetery across the busy multi-lane highway with traffic speeding by at 70 miles per hour makes one have second thoughts about visiting the dead sooner than expected. In the old original section of the cemetery, the founding family's graves are at the far back, once a status symbol of social importance, now obscured. The best and brightest rarely can be singled out in a cemetery. Unnamed grassy graves along the tree line, marked only with small wooden crosses, makes one more uncomfortable on visits to the cemetery. Fractured stones amongst the leaves, shaded by the cover of trees, all alone with our beliefs. The irony of the funeral was the prominent standing spray formed from tobacco leaves, the death caused from lung cancer after years of smoking. Some of the most memorable funerals in the Deep South are on chilly January mornings in a light mist, holding an umbrella that inevitably drips raindrops down the back of your neck. Spring breakup in the Deep South has only a courtship meaning. It has nothing to do with grave digging, usually. The burnt grasses alongside the roadside ditch came back to life in the spring, the malodorous scents dissipating into the heavens. In the days before little circle signs, makeshift crosses dotted the roadsides, surrounded by fresh flowers, transforming into faded plastic. Attendees at funerals who can sing the multiverse hymns from memory have attended way too many funerals. When you're at the graveside service at the cemetery, do you ever survey the setting to try and figure out compass directions to make sure that the grave diggers did their job correctly? When he accidentally stepped on a grave, he felt a chill run through his body. On the bright side, at least he swallows his chew and doesn't spit. One Saturday night, he took his girlfriend to see Dawn of the Dead at the drive-in theater. At the end of the night, she said that she had never seen things come back to life so many times. After they'd been dating for several months, his virginal girlfriend told him that his last ejaculation would come at his death. And on the fourth day, we rose, and life began anew, and things weren't the same, and that was a good thing. When his wife comes home after spending a day with 21st graders, should he truthfully answer her question, "What did you get done today?" He whispers quietly that he wrote 26 poems for his new collection, tentatively titled 50 Death Poems. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, bury me fast without a fuss. Note, his wife only loves rhyming Dr. Seuss-like poems. Emotions seesaw when one thinks and writes about death. Where's the story going? That may be what we want to know, and why sometimes we don't know what to say, or how to act, or how to feel. But in the end, it's the end. To live is to find joy and happiness in death, believing that the dead are in a better place, and grateful that you're not with them yet. So the second piece is about a photograph. It's titled, "A Photograph Never Forgets." Epigraph. A picture is worth 1,000 words. He displays all the confidence in the world of a young stud. He remembers the setting like it was yesterday. The dorm room, the lighting, the furnishings, the camera, the photographer, the subject of her lens. In the photo, he sees the cord coming out of the electrical wall socket adjacent to the bed. Although unseen, he knows that it is an extension cord, one leading a few feet to another cord, plugged into the devices needed for the aquarium. The aquarium that sits on a metal stand against the wall. The aquarium with the 5 black mollies and algae eater, the black light, and an endless stream of bubbles searching for air. But he is getting ahead of himself in his fantasies. The out-of-frame aquarium would come into play at a later time, a time not pictured in this photo. He studies the photo closely. He takes a wooden ruler out of his nearby desk drawer to measure its size. It's the same ruler that he used when he was a teenager growing up. The photo is 3.5 inches by 4.5 inches. He compares those measurements with the old ink markings on the ruler, and he smiles. It's a smile sort of like his smile in the photo. You know the look. The person taking the picture knows the look. He flips the photo over to see what may be written on the back. It's completely blank, unlike his mind. He knows that he doesn't need any descriptors like date, location, names. He knows, and he remembers. He flips the photo back over to his fantasies. He studies the bed and the blemishes on the bedspread along the bottom edge of the photo. He takes a small hand lens out of his desk drawer. It is the same hand lens that he used to study plants in his botany class field trips. The blemishes on the bedspread are what he suspected, age spots on the photo. He knew that the photographer would never lay down on a dirty bedspread, at least not knowingly. In the photo, there's a long rectangle of turquoise directly behind the subject. It is a blanket covering the headboard. He remembers exactly when and why the blanket was used to cover the headboard. It had become part of the pregame ritual. Out of frame is the nightstand on the side of the bed opposite the electrical outlet. He remembers what was on the nightstand and what was in the nightstand drawer. How could one forget memories captured forever in the mind? The turquoise blanket and cream bedspread abruptly stop on the right edge of the photo. The off-white wall behind the bed is parallel to the headboard. He imagines that if the subject was photoshopped out of the picture, that it would look like a Rothko painting. But when this photo was taken, Rothko paintings definitely weren't on anyone's mind, and Photoshop only existed with a magic marker. The subject of the photo exudes a knowing look. He is in full peacock mode. Is leaning back against the headboard, his tanned left arm braced against it, right arm resting atop his raised right leg bent at his knee. The focal point of the picture is slightly above his crotch, on display with his legs spread teasingly apart. His dark navy blue polo t-shirt matches his socks, and his bell-bottom blue jeans make a seductive contrast. Where his dark socks meet the jeans, there's a contrast between the inner and outer fabric of the blue jeans. It appears to open in the shape of a V, his lower leg exiting the opening, or penetrating, depending on one's perspective or imagination. His right hand juts above the raised knee, hanging loosely and confidently from the sky. A small shadow of his thumb forms on the cream wall just above the turquoise blanket. Facing slightly downward at a 60-degree angle, the shadow resembles a familiar object. The real meat of the photo is in the chiseled face of the subject, framed by an impressive head of hair falling softly behind the nape of the neck, hair inviting fingers to comb through it with abandon. The tanned countenance is accentuated by the untanned neckline just below the jutted chin. The boyish, innocent yet knowing smile, coupled with the angular nose leading up towards the slightly closed, bloodshot eyes, is so very seductive. Just after the shutter clicked, he remembers the nightstand drawer was opened and a flash cube removed from atop the stack of photos. And all of this was just before it happened, just before the lights went out and the black light of the aquarium would be all that lit the room until the flash. Just before he felt the mattress of the bed begin to move. Just before he took the camera from her hands. Just before he felt the resurrection of his dreams. Just before the 6 a.m. alarm went off. Epilogue. A picture may be worth 1,000 words, but memories cannot be quantified. This is the last piece. It's titled Another Evening of Misery with Friends, October 20th, 2023. Days later. Listening to the abuser's poetry reading. 3 minutes, 15 seconds. Pausing, searching, contemplating, replaying, over and over and over. Analyzing truths, experiences, personal, others, stories, dreams, aspirations, realities, life. Impaled by spikes, abused by the champion. Help us understand, please. Quote, some things are not meant to be intellectually understood. They are meant to be felt, end quote. Indie Lit Publisher, January 2021. Don't give up. It's all there, hiding in plain sight. Open your eyes, open your mind, and in your own way, you will understand. Remember.
That was great, Keith. Thank you. I really appreciate how meticulously and carefully constructed all of these pieces are. There's a sense of like no words being wasted. Everything is precise and calculated and direct and candid in this really wonderful way. And I think that's particularly true of the piece about the photograph. What I love about that piece is the like careful nuanced detail with which you like slowly unpack the contents of this photograph and the way that it's largely not emotionless, but that it's restrained in its emotion up until the end when there's this like when there's this reveal, right? And it's not just like and it's an emotional reveal as well. You're finally kind of let the like clinical approach drop and you realize why and how this was this like emotionally resonant moment. And I really appreciate that approach. I think it's very clever and I think it's very well applied here. And I think the same is true of the graveyard poem as well. You have these very tightly constructed little stanzas that don't have a single word that they don't need, and yet each one expresses a very clear and often very profound thought. So these are great pieces, Keith. Thank you.
No, thank you, and thanks y'all for listening. I appreciate it. And
I
again,
like
congratulations, Colton.
I like the Rothko Photoshop magic marker line. That one really touched me. That was really good.
It does look like a Rothko too. If you look at the photograph at the background, the way the like
Yeah.
turquoise square is below the like the white.
Oh
But
yeah.
so thank you, Keith.
Thanks.
And Jesse
Thank you.
up next.
Thanks.
Thanks, William. Um, I want to say a very heartfelt and honest thank you to Colton for inviting me to come and read tonight. I've read Eyes Impaled by Spikes. It's great. Uh, I really like the way that it kind of takes you. How do I put this? The mosaic quality of it, the juxtaposition of like horror and comedy, and you don't know how to feel when you read that book. And I'm really looking forward to reading Abuser very much, and getting a hold of a copy of that, and reading that. Thank you, William and Rudy. Thank you, Ministry of Tourism and Powers That Be. I am going to read selection about 3,000 words from this thing I'm working on. It's I hope it doesn't go on too long, but we shall see. I'll start reading. Excerpts from I See Prism Threads. Bataille examines the Spintrii. Remember quiet quitting? Remember human sacrifice? Remember being fired from your first job for masturbating alone in the window of time between closing the video store and setting the security alarm and leaving? In the numismatist library, George Bataille examines the Spintrii, pornographic metal tokens for buying access to OnlyFans bathhouses in ancient Rome. Die cut, bas relief, figures on the coin doing Eiffel Towers. Like I said, a silhouette of a map of France is cast across the text. I read Story of the Eye and thought it was garbage, but I can appreciate the energy contained in garbage. I was warned that I could lose the sexual module if I wasn't careful. The risk is that it could become detached from the brain and float into a dangerous zone in the eyeball. It had happened on a number of occasions, something about the binding sutures not being strong enough. I'm in a sci fi erotic space. Wouldn't you like to replay someone else's orgasms logged in a world library? I'm crippled. I'm an ascetic on a pillar, refusing food and water. Flying demons encircle me with temptations like jetliners circling airports. Incoming. If I'm lucky, I'll have a temporary reprieve from the orgone consciousness download decades old. Al Ghazali's Alchemy of Happiness, rewritten as a phone book thick catalog of sexual hangups. I'm stuck on page 530. God is in another chapter, but flipping to the end, forbidden. I'm not on a pillar. I'm in a labyrinth stage set under a proscenium of false Gnostic drama. I'm wandering like an extra who didn't get the script, or the script isn't written until 10 a.m. each day, and if by then you haven't learned your lines, you die. I wrote a lengthy poem about this delusion. It was marbled through with these mixed metaphors. The tree leaf defeats the metaphor. Nature is a clearinghouse that contains all and cannot be filled any further by writing. I hope to write something, though, before I die. I'm going to put it so tanglish in the window between closing the video store and setting security alarm and leaving. I hope to evade the forces preventing my ascension. To find in the course of the one act play a side door into immortality held open by Sartre and Blanchot. Hurry. Hurry through and forget its location under a lethe flow of orgasms and sleep. I killed a grip of flies in my house and left their bodies where they died because I'm a gross madman. I started noticing their corpses disappeared. They were deconstructed by ants, which with industry took the parts away and gave to their queen a manufactured exoskeletal hat collection made of dead fly components. That is literature in the scope where it matters. Dodging my salts, meaning deliberately not taking psych meds, lithium being a salt. I did that a few times, went to the college library and read poetry. Whenever I dodge my salts these days, it's never on purpose, but just because I forget. Troubled by basketball traveling, not dribbling enough while taking the pill to the hole. Complaints: rashy glabella, flakes, itching, third eye skin disease lurking in the genotype patterns as the symmetrical coloration of a cat's fur hides in the DNA of the zygote. Patience for manifestation in ill health. My psychic variant came with matching physiological signs and symptoms, imperfections in the flesh, double take, the creepy feelings in the body, bone cancer of the pubis, vitamin Dracula. Guy has massive vitamin D deficiency, is put on megadose. It causes him extreme suicidal ideation. Come to find out he has a life allergy to vitamin D. No sun, a vampire. Objectification. Walk 360 degrees around the Pog angel sculpture. The rear view of the angel ass on the cover of Ministry's Psalm 69 had me like with strong butt calculus. Victoria's Secret lingerie models with wings. Something about being winged appealed to women. You saw it in Halloween costumes, tattoo back pieces, angelic bodies on three-dimensional display. Wasn't sexual lust for angels what did Sodom and Gomorrah in? The men of the town encircled Lot's house where the two angels were inhabiting, demanding the angels to come out so the men could know them. Pornography is deformation. Her face while giving head was deformed. Neck, brain. Sex disfigured the angelic corpus, but even worse for you. 10 knowing intersections with the cubic phalanx field of angel pussy were all it took. You fucked the angel and thenceforth were scattered, could only think in sentence fragments. Lost your verb marbles to the Babel baby. All verbs theologically disabled in illusory time. He is a critic of the architecture perception, object noticer. He sees prism threads of skepticism in everything, spider webs that pivot all morning and twinkle according to their angle to the sun's first 3 hours of progress, wheeling from northeast to southeast before he goes to work cleaning the church. Roy G. Biv building blocks of all light, reflecting off individual pubic hairs of a woman laced by morning sun shafts through the eastern window, he remembers. Listening for ghosts in empty churches yields shatter echoes of natural radar bouncing off his body, the focal point of the ectoplasmic antenna dish. ESP being a way to get around being stuck at the dead end of aestheticism because sixth senses are extra aesthetic. No equation to explain the division of the senses, said Patti Smith. Sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, constructions in language space made by ancient scholastic philosophers who hadn't seen everything yet. Every year we develop new eyes to see around new conceptual corners Platonic scientists didn't map. Dead eye stalks unused. One day taste buds and eardrums will be vestigial as dragons' wings. He's mentally ill and probably will end up some kind of religious nut in his 50s and 60s if he survives. In the psych hospital the first time, they brought him into a boardroom where he sat on one end of the table, and on the other side, as if he was at a job interview, was his care team, including the psychiatrist, LARPing as a greaser in an aging leather jacket. The psychiatrist had a WAP last name. A nurse read out the diagnosis like a lead juror reading a sentence in a courtroom. Bipolar 1 with psychotic features, religious obsession, intrusive thoughts. It was like the religious thing was news to him. He hadn't slept in 4 days. He never saw the greaser psychiatrist again, but the guy had started him on atypical antipsychotics. He took them, and that night in his sleep, first night in the psych ward, he slept and dreamt of Stephen Colbert in Hawaii. The comedian was speaking down a long chain of Colberts, passing words off to successive degrees of other versions of himself, like that drowning girl in Nabokov's Ada, seeing that death was like passing a message down an infinite row of ourselves. The nurses checked on you every 15 minutes with a flashlight, and that became a part of the series. In the morning, they helped his name get up out of bed and took vitals. The suicidal ideation that spikes while changing jobs. I was at a library and talking with a middle aged woman and made a pass at her. I was telling her movies and books to read. I touched her throat, then said, "I'm sorry, and are you married?" She seemed alarmed, but not like she was going to call the cops or anything. I think she gave serious thought to being unfaithful to her husband with me. Like she wasn't hostile to the idea, but it made her feel very sad because she felt trapped. Only one other person lingered in the library with us, the librarian, another even older woman who sort of represented the middle aged woman's life and sense of propriety. She was reading a book and waiting for us to be done with our conversation and leave. "I'm very attracted to you," I said, as if this fact should knock over everybody else's needs and upend lives. Why wouldn't it? Vronsky and Anna didn't wait for the world to cohere around their wants. I didn't say that at the time, but I'm saying that now. This really happened, and it's still happening. Then I drove her somewhere. It was a cross between LA and the town where I grew up. She ended up disappearing. I'm the son of Sam, but instead of a dog, I take orders from a black mold pattern glyph on the wall at the head of my bed, behind the headboard that gets onto my pillows and seeps into my mind while I sleep. Gives me hyper dreams, grand theft auto sadness, antisocial fantasies, and isometric pixel animations. And I don't even like games. I couldn't give my wife a back massage because her back was covered with ink. Less a tattoo than a glossy book cover like a catalog for Christmas shopping. I said she had a lot of knots and tried to remember the parallel runways of muscles up both sides of her spine, but the printed back ink was confusing me. I felt her big breasts. She kicked me out of the house. I tried to talk her out of it. A baby was walking around the room. It was such a bitter argument. It was forever. A typical theatrical event was happening elsewhere, and I drove there listening to delusion reinforcing music with cryptic lyrics, as I used to do in that part of the city. At the theater thing, which was full of kids because a lot of schools went there, an adult pulled a gun. They talked him into leaving, and he was tackled by a tank of a security guard on the front lawn. I went to a concession stand inside, which seemed familiar, and I bought 3 cannabis-infused bananas from the ripoff artist. Right away, they got jumbled with normal bananas, so I lost track of which ones had the drugs in them. So I ate 3 and went outside, and there was a rock concert with people dancing, and the band Gethsemane Delusion was playing their hit single from that year, "I Was Standing in Heaven." The interview they give to welcome new schizophrenics is called the IRIS, Ideas of Reference Interview Scale, and a high score on item 14 indicates that the interviewee is picking up some message of significance sent through the media. In the before time, usually while driving, awake, and not dreaming this time, I did perceive that. Kurt Cobain or any other singer singing, "Yeah, yeah," on the car radio, meaning whatever random thought I was thinking at that moment, I heard that verse of the song was true and correct. Song lyrics teased information about hidden cotard arrangements, death marbled into life. But now it's as if TV shows and movies and pop radio were daily rushes slipped quietly over the transom of my heavy lidded eyes in REM aquarium depths. Dreams are safe psychoses, rehearsals of virtual unreality, wandering around fairgrounds honeycombed with tents and corrals no one wanted to be in, populated with crooked firefighters, rapists, hallucinated angry ghosts, disabled childhood friends, all in frenetic video game motion. I am led by spectacle through dream malls. Celebrities, movie stars, stage massive dynamic group races that absorb me and take me along. Blood trips, voyages that always have some dramatic turning or betrayal among passengers, often family members. Shopping spaces, markets both indoors and outdoors, carve up group attention. An audience waits and peers into my dream world. Mass media pilgrimages, staged for someone, not me, not the dreamer displaced by spectators' passive ego. Hence, everything is given a new portentousness, a signal within the dream transmission. Setting up social media accounts, dating apps, work emails in my house, I had to come up with Wi Fi superstitions to combat the ghosts that prevented multi factor authentication from getting through. Everything's combat. And the authentication code only arrives when it's too late and you are no longer near the device. This is the shield of the poltergeist. Frustration happened, which impacted the mood, paralyzed the mood feeler beyond the actual initial techno obstacle causing the frustration. Can't eat, can't sleep, can't perform simple other tasks. The crazy man is a robot with one square task peg stuck in his round cue hole, blocking a whole string of other later tasks of all more amenable shapes. I don't appreciate you setting the extroverted tempo. I have not intersected enough with all of you. Very well. I will take my chances. A noon whistle blotted out all repetitions of your name. Aubrey Andromeda had Teutonic braids that glistened in the first date sun like morning money. She lived in a city of Middle European surround sound psyche fog. AA was a nude model at the Art Institute, but then the life drawing sessions always turned into group therapy for her to talk about her parents. I was in the back of the class with my charcoal pencils and paper. She tore apart my drawings as they made her look too fat. She talked and talked during the session, and no one could draw her poses, but the art students gave advice on how to handle a dysfunctional family of gods and goddesses. She got mad at me for that, too. Her parents were divorced, but her mom stalked her dad at his trailer and parked her wheelchair in front of his truck, so he couldn't leave his home, and this story affected culture, myth, operas hundreds of years later. I should have just jetted, fucked off out of the city of fog back to the near beyond, the fields where I came from. Instead, I drew outlines of her back in her tiny apartment, and she was furious with how I rendered her. The life drawings, as they progress through the sketchbook, become more detailed and developed, and we pray for an eventual development of the woman character. The distance between the model, the drawing, the painting, and some unattainable ism which the painting fits into. Representation of true life is offensive and hurtful. Don't ever tell a woman her body resembles something else. All non-grasping for metaphors of ugly pulchritude is recommended. She didn't know she could become a piston of sex until it was happening, the discovery of the object quality of her body, plus movement, that only gets truly unlocked with a partner with the right dimensions, consistencies, manipulations, legs thrown over my shoulders. Women in my world seemed to wear no underwear and never saw gynecologists. Mad women. The BDSM experiments, I will just say I didn't like them, although in the moment I participated big time. She liked receiving discipline, kneading her ass cheeks with my palms and knuckles heavily, abusively, pain massages, rolling my fist around one of her glutes, hard, interspersed with lighter than air feather caresses on her nerve endings with my fingertips. Then a series of cupped strikes on her ass cheek that would pop and ring out throughout her floor of the Hell Mansion caused her to come. Spanking. Lots of spanking. She wanted to edge me, but I told her I didn't want to be under her control. I found her personality in these modes to be ridiculous and obnoxious. We break into this office in the Hell Mansion with red and black maps on the walls, all velvet. We don't know who the desk belongs to, but it is big and oak with gold fittings. I eat her out in the office chair, her legs spread over the arms of the chair. Then I trigger the pneumatic lever, which drops her down to my level with a yelp. After I enter her, instead of thrusting my body, I use my strength to roll her on the chair toward me and away on its casters, pulling and pushing her and using her while I kneel there as still as a statue. She moves on my power cable dick, and when I pull out to come on her stomach, what comes out is thick wads of cotton or the smoke seed puff that comes out of a crushed cattail. I've never seen this before, and this happenstance is a temporal marker, a signal for me that this is taking place in a nightmare, and what is to follow, the next stages of life, will be inescapable. She's angry and insulted that I don't come inside her, but I'm terrified of pregnancy even though she's on the pill, her one concession is seeing a gynecologist. She accuses me of neglecting the orgasm inside her because I'm ashamed of her appearance, and said, "You'd risk pregnancy if I were better looking," and it sets off a cascade of arguments and recriminations. She questions my manhood and calls me a little bitch, which she apologizes for weeks later. I spent a lifetime until I learned that my soul was set on different soul paths according to whether I jerked off with my left or right hand or were brought off by another. The handedness determined the direction my soul traveled during the next instance of falling asleep after orgasm. All the directions were bad, but there was a distinction to the varieties of terrain I thought I could see. There were as many forms of unhappiness as there were forms of lust, categories of arousal. And the women in the pornographic visual aids, or the women who, like AA, were my real life sexual partners, were vampiric succubi of energy, collectors of jewelry fashioned from my pneuma, a substance that was not substance, so no medical doctors were willing to study it no matter how far and wide across the globe I looked. Under my own recognizance, I spent real psychic coinage on studying the coherence or incoherence of my world make-believe system. Women were mad that Andromeda needed to be rescued, the disempowered mythical beings needing revision by folklore collectors and redactors. The psych meds in the palm of her hand resembled the constellation Andromeda, damsel in distress, chained in place, needing to be saved from neuropsychiatric krakens. Between the question and the reply to the reply, there is a falling off of irony, a désengagé kill step. Tone games. How dare you give a serious answer? Comedians only in the replies. After sex, AA went on Netflix on her phone in the dark room and asked me, "Do you want to binge watch Secret Wife Killings or Good Wife, Bad Husband, of course?" We opted for Secret Wife Killings and wound up having sex again partway through an episode. AA put the phone down in the bed but kept it going. It was weird to abstract away from the sexual act and listen to the true crime soundtrack. The Midwestern detective talking about the wife hanged in the garage for days before someone could cut her down, and you're having sex. And it's just as consequential as if you were listening to techno or hip hop in the background. The medical examiner said he couldn't get the corpse's face to go back to normal. AA and I also later sit down to watch the clips from the political torture show on our iPhone in the dark. The bridge collapse in the Midwestern city, which was then rebuilt into a jungle gym for torturing political opponents en masse. Infrastructure for insurrection. American Gladiator obstacle course several hundred feet in the air. Knock a liberal they-them off their balance with massive pneumatic foam pylons. Long way down. Meanwhile, you can recreate the angle from Gettysburg and catapult deplorables into racks of metal bars. AA giggles and stuffs another hand into a bag of Doritos. A hidden water nozzle blasts Zoomer snowflakes off a plastic precipice. The silhouette of a large spider crawls across the glowing touchscreen in the dark. At first, I'm not sure it's real until AA screams in horror drops the phone with Spider attached and lurches out of bed, slapping at the light switch. The messy bed, illuminated, looks shameful. I scan for the arachnid in the folds of the bed clothes, but I can't find it. The cat is useless.
Holy shit, Jesse. Holy shit. That was phenomenal. I You have a remarkable gift for writing lucidly about mental illness in a way that doesn't like abstract the experience or diminish it. I love the like sheer variety of different like mental and emotional states you capture in this piece so precisely and so perfectly. And I love the way it ricochets between moments that are really like mundane, like depressingly mundane, like watching true crime or having sex during true crime. Can you think of something like more demoralizing and mundane than that? Like, and I love the way you describe the true crime piece in here, and like, and so you get that aspect of mental illness, like that, like just leaden, depressing mundanity of it. But there are also all of these like incredible flights of fancy here of like these fantastical moments that like these intense religious delusions that you get at, and like all these this like web of intricate and imagined interconnections between things, and the way that like the the prose like bobs in and out of reality. It's so effective because I think a lot of times when people write about mental illness, they write in terms of like decline and unraveling and coming undone. Like it's like a person's lucid and you watch them unravel, you watch them lose touch with reality. But this, what you're doing here is so much more subtle and I think so much more accurate, where there's like this bobbing in and out of reality, this like transfusion kind of thing where like reality flows into fantasy and fantasy flows into reality, and these like associational webs and stuff are just intertwined with the mundane reality of existence. It's really good shit, Jesse. It's phenomenal, I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much, William. And I just want to say before I go, I really liked Jeff's pieces. Really funny. Yeah, the Stephen Hawking thing with Ghislaine Maxwell, and and Keith's too. The one about the photograph. I really felt the disappointment of the waking from the night or waking from the dream. In that last moment of the dream, it was great. Um, yeah, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the next readers.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. And it's nice to have you back again.
Thank you.
And Alyssa Lance is up next.
Hi.
Hey, Alyssa.
It's so funny to be doing this. Colton and I are regrettably good friends, and I couldn't be more proud of him. I have both of his books. I've read both of his books. And I'm excited to share a piece that he's written along with a piece that was written by another dear friend of mine. I'm unfortunately not brave enough to share my own writing, but maybe one day. So the first piece is untitled. It's by my friend Mary, and I think it fits tonight fairly well. Yeah. You used to be a carnival blonde brilliance, but you left that behind in your old room. Maybe in the same spot the cat knocked over the wine in your old room. Those dollar store dinner parties, you remember. Flinging yourself at aluminum friends like a ghost who can't figure out it died in its old room. Ammonia smell builds. Can't say it plainly. Drunken metaphor memories. Hair dye, cat pee, piles of half-digested things. Easier to forget things, like when your stove's alight in your old room. Closing gaseous green walls, you can't open the doors. Seeing streetlights turn your hands into crawling worms. Flattened delivery mold under your platforms. Fits fine in your old room. Go on and try to kick the limp cat across the dark floor, 7 pounds that doesn't whine anymore. Saw it all before your blurry eyes. What makes a girl hide in her own room? And then the next piece I'm going to read is The Air in My Chest. It's from his first book. Yeah. Thursday, October 20th, 2022, 11:14 p.m. I just wanted to eat my chicken sandwich. I hadn't ordered a chicken sandwich in a long time. I just quit my job and I wanted to be a sad sack of shit sitting in a drive-thru, but you had to fuck that all up. You just had to be some fucking guy begging for money in the drive-thru line a few quarters away from midnight. You really thought you were gonna get what you asked for, but you didn't. I remember it was 52 degrees outside. You were wearing a black zip-up hoodie and some graphic t-shirt. I looked at your hands and saw shredded leather holding pennies and Washingtons. Hey man, couple dollars for a burger, man. I should have given you something, but I said, sorry, man. You acted like you owned the drive-thru, as if you actually believed somebody would show up at your funeral. I did not sign up to meet you. And the crazy part is, you walked away. You were almost gone, but you stopped. You thought about your next move. Then you dropped some coins, maybe watching the coins slip through your fingers triggered something. Out of nowhere, you grabbed your pocket knife, I guess. I don't know what you used. But you took a knee and stabbed my back right tire. You stabbed it multiple times. In my rearview mirror, it looked like you were jacking off at first. I guess I wish you were jacking off, but as you walked away, I could hear my back tire puncture holes leak out squeaky farts. I've never felt so weak while listening to an orchestra of rubber slits oozing out high-pitched queefs. Are you gonna let him do that to you? I say to myself. I felt like such a pathetic fuck. Your bitch ass is lucky I didn't back up in reverse and snap your wrist. I could have run you over. You realize how stupid it is to touch someone's car in Memphis. You could have been deep-throating someone's Glock, boss man. I mean, I could have put the weight of my metal tire rim on your stomach. I could have pulled out of the drive-through line, chased you with my car, and plunged thousands of pounds of Japanese engineering onto your back. Actually, maybe I should have grabbed my dad's screwdriver and gotten out of my car and given you the Hammurabi treatment, stabbing little holes into your face and kicking you in the stomach and listening to the wind escape your lips. After stabbing you a few times, I would have gotten the police baton I keep in my trunk. I tell people it's an antique, but oh no, it works just fine. The baton could be whipped out easy enough so that when I swing it down to your legs, your tibia would break immediately and protrude through your jeans. At this point, I am hoping that I can get an apology. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Please call an ambulance. And hey, I would forgive you. Maybe I would throw some money onto your face and then step on your broken leg. After you scream, I'll look into your eyes and scream louder and then break your stabbing arm. Or before I leave, I would have looked down on you and said, why didn't you just walk away? But nothing happened. None of my imaginary homicidal thoughts came true. I watched you walk away down Florence into the darkness. You might actually be in that park that's across the street. I saw a tent there when I drove home. It made me smile because regardless, you're going to die alone, just like me, except my funeral will be more expensive. So I don't really care. Go and keep at it, man, because if you slash the tire of some other guy that isn't me, I can't promise they won't feel sorry cutting your chest open and ripping out your lungs. And to think, the worst part about all of this was that I ate my sandwich and fries alone in my car while I waited 45 minutes for the fucking cops to show up and do nothing. Friday, October 21st, 2022, 3:23 p.m. I drove down I-40, parked my car at the exit ramp, and I walked until I could see the Mississippi River over the side of the Hernando de Soto Bridge. The drought season refused water from covering the riverbed. What was left of the mighty Mississippi was in the tiny streams that barely traveled over sand, dried up fish, and small rocks. Taking in the wind is nice until I start to gag. The air smells like chum and fish guts. I lean over the railing and think to myself, so that's what the bottom of the river looks like. I look out and see the city. I see the white boats stuck in the mud, the big green Bass Pro Shop fish logo on the pyramid, the construction being done to the riverside, the cobblestone landing, tall white cranes moving steel beams. I'm disappointed because I wanted to kill myself. I wanted to jump into the river and snap my neck hitting the water, but now I can't jump because I don't want to jump into the sand and mud. I wanted to hear the waves before I blacked out. I wanted to be swept away by the river so that my corpse could be filled with salt water and entangled in lush, salty mermaid hair. God, my friend, God, my friends would think I'm such a pussy right now. Well, 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 isn't it? If it isn't Mr. I'm going to kill myself back from not killing himself. Geez, what's the excuse this time? Did you suddenly forgive yourself? Did you hear God before you stepped off the bridge? I could have one wish right now. If I could have one wish right now, I would wish for there to be more water in the river. I would wish for a flood. Why wait? Why don't you just do it now, you fucking weenie? Kill yourself. But this isn't the way I wanted to do it, god damn it. I don't want to smell like the sun-rotted catfish. What if my body gets trapped in quicksand? What if my entire body gets sucked into a fucking void of tiny glass particles? I'll I'll smell like putrid shit regardless when I'm dead. I don't know. Maybe it'll rain a bunch soon. But if I wait too long, I'll find some gay reason to live and keep going. God fucking damn it. It's just a shame, really, that there's never any reward. There's no, oh, you accomplished so much. Here's a prize. Feel free to exhale now. Nope. It's just more expectations, more bullshit, more pressure, more drugs, more heartbreak, more days spent watching the sun rays drift across your room while your cats sit in the sunlight to recharge, and you wonder how they do it, how they look so relaxed. How do they purr so calmly? I realize now I am a sad, God drenched in vileness, desire fueled by fear based decisions, swimming in the mystery flesh pit. This is stupid. I should go home before some guy tries to put meaning in his life by talking me out of killing myself.
Alyssa, those were fantastic. Now, I know neither of these were your pieces, but you did a really wonderful job of reading them and delivering them. And I have to say, I don't, obviously, I don't know your friend who wrote the first piece, but the first piece is really wonderful. I love how the like morbid, nasty atmosphere just keeps building and building and building in that piece. It starts like really nasty and it somehow just finds a way to keep getting nastier, keep getting uglier, keep getting more depressing and demoralizing, um until that final line is a question that answers itself, right? And since Colton's here, I want to talk about the two pieces of Colton's that you read, because Colton, man, I love these. I don't think you've read these two pieces before at Misery Loves Company. I could be wrong, but they seem new to me. And what I love about both of these pieces is the tension between fantasy and reality, between like the the way we visualize the world, even like out of nihilism and viciousness and hatred and anger, and like how somehow the world is still more soul crushing than that, right? Like how even our fantasies about homicide or suicide can't live up to can't live up to reality, right? Like how even if we are fantasizing about something vicious and ugly, reality finds a way to be just more demoralizing than that. I particularly love the second one, the suicide one, because I have had plenty of moments like that. Like that one rang really true to me. You have all these romantic notions about how you're going to do it. And then the reality is, you're looking at a muddy river across from a Bass Pro Shop or something, and you just can't. You just can't because you want it to be just a little bit more meaningful than that, right? These are wonderful, Colton. And Alyssa, this is wonderful. Thank you so much for reading. You did a fantastic job. And now I think it's the man himself, Colton.
Oh gosh. First off, thank you, William and Rudy, for doing this. I've really enjoyed coming to Misery Loves Company. I forget what my first Misery Loves Company was, or just online reading in general. But I remember like meeting Eris, and she, asked me like, "Do you think that Kurt Cobain killed himself, or if Courtney Love killed him, or something?" And then I was immediately hooked with the readings after with Jesse and I forget, and Josh, and then just I was hooked, and I just kept writing, and I started writing during the pandemic. I wrote to publish during the pandemic. I started writing in college when I was just super depressed. It was either that or playing Doom on the Nintendo Switch, which I got really good at. Um, this has been a great reading. Thank you to Jeff for being willing to answer my drunk emails. And one night I just, he was like, "Hey, I like your writing," and I took that as a, hey, I'll send him a manuscript unannounced just to see what would happen. And then we ended up working this thing out. And, of course, it's like, maybe we'll publish this during the winter, maybe not. And of course, we published this during an ice storm, which is perfect. 17 people in Tennessee died because of it, but my book is out, so it's hey, a little victory there. Jeff has been super nice to me and super great to Adam, who Adam's been a great source of inspiration for me. I forget how we even met because we probably met on Twitter, but those interactions are deleted. And I love that about him, that like lawyer presence where he just deletes everything. But I've got plenty of screenshots of stuff that I'll keep forever and never release until I'm dead. And like I said in the chat, Keith has been a great supporter of mine. He was the first person to own Eyes Impaled by Spikes, I'm pretty sure, which to me was just hilarious because before I got my copy, I was reading Eris's book, and it was just incredible. After I read her book, I was like, damn, like I really want to like be on her level and just get to where she was at, and then just improve my book and edit it and whatever. And fucking Jesse messaged me after my book was released and was like, hey, I've liked the excerpts, I've ordered it, I can't wait to read it. And Adam suggested you, and of course, these people that I've been listening to telling me like, hey, like we're gonna look at your stuff. Like anytime eyes touch whatever I put on paper, like that is just fantastic. It makes it all worth it to have Keith message me after like good work on your pieces reading, and same with Jeff and Jesse and Adam and Alyssa, who, for those who don't know, me and Alyssa met at the pinball bar. We met at Flipside, and I thought that she was some lunatic worker who was working there, but she wasn't. She just looked like her, except she was way more buff. And so I just like pestered her the whole night, like, you work at Flipside, like I know you do. And I was really drunk. And then we ended up becoming really good friends. And then I broke into her apartment one time when I was really depressed and scared the shit out of her. And now I am banned from coming over to her place unannounced, which is fair, but I found it was very insulting in the moment. But I've come to understand that I don't know, I am the chaotic presence in her life and in the life of many other people. And so abuser is just kind of like this meditation on like what it means to abuse, to be abused, mentally, sexually, emotionally, through drugs and addiction. And like, I mean, addiction is in my family, abuse is in my family. And, we've seen what it's like to see shame weaponized online, and how, we have to live with our mistakes and consequences, and we have to live with people who do bad things, or we are people who do bad things, and we have to make new friends and like live with like the constant threat of like blackmail or whatever. Like there's just so much like weird online paranoia mixed with the modernity of life, and also like the humor too, because like I don't know if you've noticed, but I love laughing. And so yeah, it all led to this, and just with the help of Jeff, who put the illustration together for the cover of the book, and Adam, who edited it, and people, all of y'all here who have helped support me, and I'm very grateful. And I promise not to sell out. I'll be a weirdo on Misery Loves Company until I fucking die, unless someone like famous buys my book and they promise me to like do weird sex stuff on an island, and I'll get published forever and I get to meet famous scientists. If that happens, then I don't know, my hands are tied. I might have to do it. Who knows? They might be drugging me at that point. Who knows? Anyways, I'm gonna get started with my reading and hopefully fucking find where my word. I have so many Google Docs open right now. I have to find which one is mine. Okay, I think I got it. Okay. So this first piece was when I was working at a bar, and I went outside to go on a smoke break because I was lazy. And some guy was like, hey, can I have a cigarette? And I said, yeah. And I gave him one. And then he offered me cocaine. This piece is called Street Bottle. Shit. Slim pointed fire embers rush through my lungs and nose. A man walks by asking, you got another one of those? I nod and give the man a smoke from my pack, thinking nothing of it, no sweat off my back. But the grateful man repays me, saying with a grin, check it. I snuck this over 4 states. Sly as sin. It's just hot water and cocaine in a nasal congestion bottle. Are your eyes hazel? Nah, never mind. Here, push this into your nose and make sure it doesn't leak onto your clothes. So I drop my cigarette to the pavement and I sniff up loose, milky entertainment. Puff and puff, crinkle and snort, sniffle and suck. A solution slaps my throat. This is good shit. Fuck. My eyes are flickering through streetlights. The stars are gone, clouded beyond sight. That Tylenol taste and numb lip sensation will always be my favorite kind of bodily stimulation. And now I am dead once more as night strips life to its gritty core, where fingers shiver in the fog of a ghostly summer night, and faraway planets aligned by spirit. Ripples in time fight and come together. Nothing can decide what is right. The wanting of these moments will never make living all right. Come here and look into my eyes. Empty, lost, wide, and white. This next piece, fuck. I forget if I was still doing coke when I did this piece or not, but all I know is, uh, fuck. I wrote this piece because I imagined, like, as I guess a writer, even though I'm kind of like with Adam in the boat where like I don't like calling myself a writer. I like, I type stuff and I'm in my notes app on the toilet like half the time. But we all have that like propensity to like take in what we read and like what we see on the internet, and the art that we create kind of has this layer of skin from other people, other ideas, other sources, like other pieces of art. And so you kind of get this shield of like, there's me right here, but like on the front end, or kind of like what you can kind of feel from getting someone's art is like there is some like give and take. There's like this, again, a shield made of leathered skin is where my fucked up head went. So, but yeah, this is the writer in a shield made from leathered skin. Gymnasium jersey tugging, dribbling with strangers. Jewish basketball league tournament on other side of giant court net divider. Referee, what are you doing out there? You got marbles in your head? My friend brought his new flip phone. He tells me, I'll take some videos of you playing ball. Show me some Larry Bird shit, you fucking flamingo-legged honky. My squeaking sneakers fly over colored floor tape. Big toe thrust, heel shift. Laces hit three-point line, ball spins up, descends, bounces off rim, and out of frame. That fucking sucked. Shoot again, retard. Happy tree friends. In the psytrance scene, my friend and I coined the term raccoon orgy. It's a reference to how squirrel or raccoon trance music sounds like cute outdoor animals dick slapping and cunt finger fucking each other in a firefly forest filled with heart attack bass slaps and high tempo candy rolling. That I got from some lady who, she kept telling me that she had like been to jail for a long time, but she never told me what. And I don't know if it was like drugs or something. I don't know, but she's I hope she's doing well. See Max Beckman's Hol der Vogel, Bird Hell, 1937-38. Kitchen stretching and ab workouts, Russian twist, plank, etc. Next. Walk a mile to the park. Stop to read, 30 minutes at least. Walk to the metal jungle gym hidden at the top of a hill next to the old train tracks. Do pull-ups and push-ups, 3 up, 3 down, 4 up, 4 down, and so on. Walk a mile back home, take a cold shower, drink coffee, drink 1 beer, take a nap, now start your day. Horror, full of vigor, torn bits of dead flesh fucked, rigor mortis sets in, cold fingers sucked. The smell of dead carcass overcomes the presence of human waste. You smoke 5 packs of cigs a day selling K-pins and ecstasy. My girlfriend got mad at me because I changed the Wi-Fi password to Big Dick City 77 and her parents came over and I forgot to change it back. This is from my friend Lily, who I crashed on her couch for like a week after I lost my job at the pinball bar. In Berlin, when I was broke and abusing party drugs, I'd scrape leftover powder off the top of the back tank of club bathroom toilets and I'd just lick whatever ended up sticking to my credit card's magnetic stripe. Also, you're not allowed to write any of this down. This is my story. This right here was inspired by a conversation that I had with Alyssa. Bullfrog Corner, a tiny Mississippi town with an ex-con neighborhood, a thrift store owned by hoarders who believe that everything changed for the worse after 9/11. A pork and chicken barbecue shop, a big church, and a local steakhouse partially owned by a local cattle farmer. A small family is driving their SUV and out of the big church parking lot after a long memorial service. The dad at the wheel is an open carry bodybuilder. At his peak, 30 years old, 239 pounds, and 5 feet 10 inches tall. He sees the line to get out of the parking lot. Fucking Christ, his family groans. His daughter flinches when the dad reaches towards the back seat to grab a magazine. In front of the stationary family is a pickup truck. The driver from the pickup truck exits his vehicle and takes something out of his pants. A second goes by, and a man fires a gun in the air while yelling obscenities. It appears his frustration is boiled over. Common sense is now out of the question. Bodybuilder flexes his eyes on the situation. He takes a second to breathe, then proceeds to unbuckle his seatbelt. Open the door, exit the SUV, close the door, and walk up to the gentleman popping off rounds into the open heavens. Carefully, the father examines the ill-tempered soul. The parental figure realizes that this heated guy's shirt and blue jeans are filthy. One of his eyes is lazy and his shoes have holes over each big toe. His pickup truck is drenched in oily mud, and the truck bed is full of cans, ripped up tarp, and rainwater. So instead of grabbing the shooter's head and forcing his mouth open over the truck trailer hitch and then stomping on the back of his head until the black metal ball mount ruptures through his brainstem and cracks open his throat, causing blood to leak out of his newly formed mouth cavity like a red juice waterfall gushing out from a smashed watermelon at the Hope, Arkansas Watermelon Festival, the chiseled guardian decides to simply walk up to the gentleman, grab his arm, take away the camo color 40 S&W pistol, push the magazine release button, give the heated man a kiss on the forehead, and then walk back to his SUV with the empty gun, where he continues to read his magazine and wait for the line to move. Shit. Driving under a sky spotty with dots, bright holes full of white light, you enter a soulless saloon. Flakes of sawdust scramble and fly into your eyes. We now live alone in hideously tailored foxholes, spider holes, and sinkholes. A gay and sulfuric shine. The standard is the real. Refinement by steel. Industrial progress for the better, the better, the better. You exist outside of everything. You are a child's nightmare. Gilbert syndrome, shut in, sleeping in an alcoholic's piss-ridden bed. Look at how special you are. A gift from God above. A montage of human excellence sprung from desensitized adolescence. This next paragraph is about a person that it was the last date I went on before I am now dating the current person that I'm with. A woman walks into a bar wearing a shirt that has the words "Lucky Cowgirl" on it. She's carrying a big loaf of bread. She tells the bartender, "This loaf of bread is my therapy bread. It's keeping me calm. I just had a panic attack in the bathroom over there. Don't worry though. I feel fine now. You got any Ham's beer in this motherfucker?" Okay. This next piece, this was when so there's a restaurant in Memphis called Huey's, and it's like your basic dude, like white people, black people, everyone loves this place. They have sandwiches, burgers, and like their bar is like cheap but good, and they have these cheesy fries where it's like cheese, bacon, chives, and I was eating it for every fucking meal for like a week because my body was doing that to me, and I just kept going up and writing and writing, and so this is a long piece, but in the short of it, it's just about me high drinking beer and eating cheese fries. And shit, I was gonna get a translation of this quote because I did take French in high school, but I was a C student, so I'll try and pronounce it. Filling up a person's body with spray foam insulation. Se rappelait qu'un tableau avant d'être un cheval de bataille, une femme nue, ou un quelque fucking anecdote est essentiellement une surface plane recouverte de colors in a certain order assembly. I will fucking Google it. Maurice Dennis, definition of neo-traditionalism, 1890. Thick steak fries served on a wide white plate. On top of the pile of chubby potato fingers is a layer of melted cheese. Color uniform cheddar hangs onto every bite. Indented into the smushy shell are small bits of pig bacon and scallions. The meadow green and golden yellow colors are intense, but the darker browning of the starchy vegetables and dotted swine spots help settle the warm noise on the plate. Prepped containers of store-bought ketchup and speckled white ranch are placed into the droopy dairy mess, leaving behind a geometrically perfect impression of industrial plastic. The entire dish is served with a disposable white fork stabbed into the top peak of the pile of cheesy potatoes as napkins, toothpicks, and side plates are placed nearby. Let's go cruise out towards that weird clown shack off Highway 51. What are you talking about? You know, that purple and pink building out there in Love, Mississippi, near the fire station. Isn't that where Will Dockery was born? I reckon. Name sounds familiar. Will Dockery is the guy who set up the Dockery Plantation. You know, the place where blues music started. Okay, so you're telling me a white man from a town called Love created the birthplace of blues music? Well, shit, let's make it a road trip and take my granddad's 76 Monte Carlo and blast Van Halen on the way down there. Awesome. Do you want to hit my pipe before we leave? Sycamore View in Macon. Stinky backwoods boys loyal to the Purple Gemstone Church use their loud guitar music and Bibles from China to fight against the unholy. I'm lost in daylight, focusing my mind's telekinetic powers on traffic in an attempt to shrink the cars stalled at the red light so that they become Hot Wheel size. The people inside the car will also shrink. So that means I get to play with them and see what happens to their bodies when I take their shrunken car and overhand chuck it at a brick wall going roughly 60 miles per hour. There's a real horror, you know, with life and all that. If I could live twice, I would drink myself to death both times. If you can't clean a stain off a surface with a sponge, just use your fingernail. It can cut through anything. Kellogg's factory warehouse. I walk in through a side door marked by red spray paint. Cast and crew are already standing next to set lights and a snack table. I put down my backpack and walk over to the directing team. The director tells me that for this scene, I'm going to be naked and cleaning myself as water falls from a mysterious hanging hose dangling over there, he points from the ceiling. There will be no dialogue, and all sound will be edited out from the shot to focus on the visual of water cascading off my body. Post-production, the scene will be slowed down, sped up, chopped up, and so on. Other scenes in the final project will feature different actors going through different bodily experiences. Examples include getting injected by blood collection needles, eating raw meat, calling your parents, picking out splinters, and applying lotion, stuff like that. The only prop for my scene will be a bar of soap in my right hand, and the only body movements I have are specific instructions from the director. I remove my clothes and step into the frame with my cleaning buddy. The director calls out to me, "Okay, stand over there for a second. When you get comfortable with the initial water temperature, tilt your head up. After you do that, the camera will start recording. Once we start, you will then wait until my direction to move. Got it?" I nod my head. I walk over to a neon green taped X under rubber tubing staring down at me from a shadowed pulley system. I look near my bare feet and I see screws and bits of wood on the floor. Okay, get ready. The water is going to fall in 3, 2, 1. An out of shot handle is twisted, unleashing a mild cold drip onto my naked body. I adjust to the free falling stream for a second, lift my head up, and listen for my cues. Okay, start by using your left hand to play with your hair. Maybe slick back your bangs some. I duck my head and massage my scalp, moving my neck around in little semicircles. I stretch wet, tangled strands away from my forehead. Good. Okay. Now, use the soap in your hand to wash your body. I use the slippery cleaning tool in my right hand to wipe between my thighs, first going down my leg and then upwards, lifting up to, my buttocks. The camera moves in front of me, and now I am washing around my gut and swirl it around to my sides. Thoughts wonder, do I need to do anything special? The director interrupts. Okay, perfect. Now, use the soap to create bubbles on your shoulders. Turn to the side once or twice and then let the stream wash down your arm and back. I lift the soap to my neck and create a collar of suds. The hose forces the white paste to slide down my spine. The camera moves and zooms in. It watches as my stretch marks are momentarily hidden behind mysterious foam. My vertebrae pop inward and outward while I try to get comfortable. The director yells. Okay, last one, and then we take a break. Now, turn to face the camera and wash behind your ears. After we get our zoomed in shot from above, then we can cut. Shit. Drying off, getting dressed, burning yourself drinking coffee, meeting your brothers at the Park Avenue Masonic Lodge, community meal, Italian sausage pasta, side garlic bread, chicken parm sandwich, mozzarella cheese sticks, side Caesar salad, pepper flakes, King Solomon, on being refused. Until next week, walking past the Park Hustler, Zugzwang, Miss Maiden 1, the drive home, Ohio players on the radio, keys and mail on the kitchen island, scratching shag carpet, an unused stick of glue, googly eyes and twine, broken crayons, a bedtime story told to a guy trapped in a vacuum sealed bed, flossing, the national anthem, setting your alarm clock, wanting someone's insides to be their outsides, staring at your partner's head while you listen to 2010's Filipino grindcore, Etre et avoir, crickets, insomnia twitching in the fetal position. Most of the steak fries aren't placed in bubbling oil for long. In fact, they're only fried stiff enough to have a thin crunchiness and a generous flop. Inside the fry itself is squishy and tangy mash. Heat escapes broken skin with every bite, and soon my mouth is piping. This is where the ketchup and ranch come swiftly. One cannot imagine the pleasure embedded in that dunking and drenching and double dipping to cool the inside of one's eating hole. When I was in grade school, my class had a science project where we got these little caterpillars, and our parents helped us put them into empty 1 liter soda bottles with soil, water, leaves, and branches. And over a few weeks, the caterpillars would eat a bunch of leaves and drink a bunch of water and stuff, and eventually it would go through metamorphosis. Well, one day I saw my mom looking into the soda bottle with the chrysalis hanging from the branch, and she turns to me and says, I think your butterfly is dead. And child me was like, what the fuck do you mean my pretty butterfly friend is dead? So my mom opens the soda bottle and cuts open the chrysalis with the free edge of her painted nail, and she shows me a half-developed transformation broken up and suspended in a jam-like red paste. Worst of all were the wings, all scrunched up, clear, and uncolored. Didn't find or fancy none of that which improves the quality of life. Not even dusty treasures or frugal gospel or sending videos of me jerking off in my kitchen could wipe away the midnight glitter on my face. Someone save my hand-me-down soul. Nothing can stop this infinite spiral. Stop and think, stop to drink, stop to pee, stop with me. God, I hate those fucking Italians with their goddamn flamboyant Speedos. No PPP ever. Would you come? Simple and effective ways to remove a skin tag. You're it. I meant to say this earlier, but honest to God, you are being such a fucking PP head right now. Country boy with an undiagnosed learning disorder struggles in school. His parents are poor. They panic and send him to an outpatient group therapy session. He doesn't get along with some of the older kids. One day we're circled up talking about family trauma. The new girl talks about her mom and childhood abuse and trust, and so the slow kid says, well, sometimes with people, you have to build a wall. And the wall can be a strong, tall brick wall, one that nobody can get through, but you have to build a door somewhere. Even if it's got a lock on it, you have to at least give people a door. And this is the first time the kid has said something that resonated with everybody in the group. Before the woman can thank him, the childish boy crosses his arm and farts. Album, Sadistic Way of Intense Perversion, release 2010, band, Perverse Molestation, track, Pulverizing My Fist on Your Fucking Face, label, Coyote Records, Country, Philippines. Thinking about Denise Bolger and all those big name artists studying the interrogation tapes of the two 10-year-old kids who kidnapped, tortured, and killed her 2-year-old son, James, just so that they can try to reconstruct the murder for theater and media entertainment. My father spent 10 years in prison, Schedule I drugs, intent to sell, paraphernalia. He's on some court-ordered probation bullshit now. Last time I heard from him, he tried to leave the state to fuck some university girl, and After the entire fiasco, it took 5 Narcan to bring him back to life. A lot of guys go out like sharks and eat by themselves, crowding around TV sets and commanding the channels of broken ships. Men don't even interact with each other. We have our own agenda, like playing the Bong Cloud opening against random kids from India on the chess.com app, or writing down the weird shit people next to us say using pen and paper. Speaking of, did you know that the guy who chain smokes at the bar by the University Railroad tracks is the same security guard who shot that one kid in the back in the Poplar Kroger parking lot a few years ago? He'll talk to you if you ask him about it. Once you finish cleaning your plate and wiping your face, take a toothpick and stick it into a straw. Frills first so that the pointy part is facing out. Aim the straw up at the ceiling. Put the opposite side of the straw to your lips and create a thick, short burst of breath to shoot the wooden dart up into the air with enough force so that the toothpick sticks into the ceiling. If it falls on someone, you laugh. If it falls on someone and they know you did it, you apologize, and then you laugh. Death gripped the edge of my face and pulled over the front of my skull. Let the muscles in my cheeks dry out like a desert. The wonder in living a beautiful life is that you can propel yourself to be one of God's anointed. Like a flame burning away the darkness, life is flesh on bone convulsing above the ground. Begotten, E. Ilias, Marriage, 1989. Oof, okay, that was a long one. This one, gosh, I wrote this piece after I did some research on the Candyman killer, because that new Candyman movie was coming out, and I Googled it, but then I found out that there was, instead of a black Candyman who's like cool with a hook, there's a white Candyman who like killed molested kids or whatever, like, which is perfect for like the white, I guess, counterpart to that. But I was researching that, and then one of my older friends was like, "Yeah, my dad was a police chief in the town, and I would hang out at hospitals and watch people come in who had just been shot by cops and were going to get arrested afterwards." And I was like, "Oh, it's perfect." So I went after it. Uh, this piece is called, oh, and also I wrote this piece because my dad, he worked at Liberty Land. I think he like counted coins or something, but like Liberty Land, me and some people on Twitter have talked about Liberty Land and like the Zip and Pippin and all that shit. It's a very nostalgic part of Memphis, and the roller coaster is too, and it's not here anymore. But this piece is called Fried Oreos and Funnel Cake. I am the Red Viper. I hear voices and running water. Guile's theme is always playing in my head, especially when I stalk people at night. You played with yourself in a New York taxi. The driver didn't hear you. Your nails were painted black that day. Have you seen that web page that shows famous women's hairy armpits? Hold on, let me show you. A pencil-drawn sign taped to the front of a bottle of catsup that reads, "Don't throw me away." Air Force divorce. Taking over the family candy business. Honorable discharge. Taking different shortcuts home so that the people following you can't find a pattern. Cleaning up your dirty apartment. I remember the bathroom door barely closed because of that big pile of clothes. Tie-dye 123 uploading videos of maggots and worms festering around men's bleeding penis holes and torn apart foreskin on motherless.com. Farming corpse beetles, sharing woody fair treats, big white gas-filled pill containers stacked in a shipping yard, pothole puddle bird bath, slacker, roller coaster attendee, an unlocked porta potty, the sexy sun hypothesis, console full of skull cans, notice of legal rights, eating mustard-covered Pronto pups dipped in creek water. This is my friend Jim. He was in Vietnam and Desert Storm. Before 9/11 in the 90s, he worked for AT&T by putting networks up in the Caribbean and in South America. After the attack on the towers, he joined Boeing for a minute as a pilot and then retired. Now he just travels and goes to different craft shows up and down the East Coast. He carries that jeweled dragon head cane with him because of, well, back surgery, literally, but he also enjoys collecting rocks and minerals for their healing properties. One time he asked me if I practiced the craft. I said no, but I respected the craft. Jim tells me he likes to look for skulls and antlers for his various altars. Lucky for him, I know a guy. I told him I'd give him some horns if he gave me some wisdom about America going against China with this Taiwan thing, and all he said was, "Knowing what I know about America and our defenses, I think we'll be fine. 2020 Lamar Drive, home of the Candyman. I lead myself willingly into hell, like a good country should. Come on, let me be your monster. My dad worked in homicide for 10 years. Mom wasn't around a lot, so he'd used to take me to Gaston Hospital. I'd sit in a maroon chair in the emergency room for hours on the weekends. I still think about seeing guys come in with their chewed up shoulders half blown away by shotgun pellets. I did this a lot. I wasn't allowed to do cool stuff like go to Liberty Land or watch movies at the cinema. I just wasn't allowed to do anything fun. One time I tried to ask my dad if we could go to the city island when it reopened as the bicentennial volunteer park or whatever so that I could ride the monorail. But my dad said no because that muddy island used to be a dumping ground for dead bodies. I was told to never ever go over there. He also said he sometimes heard quiet whispers and screams mixed in tune with the sound of the waves crashing together in the rush of Mississippi River. Whew, that's it. That's all I got. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. There's more, way more in Abuser. That's weird poetry pieces and other stuff where I looked up shit online and on Wikipedia, made weird musings on it. But thank y'all for being here for this reading. This is awesome. This is really cool. I would not be wanting to do anything else on a Friday night than be here. So
Colton. First of all, congratulations, man. Fuck. I'm gonna put the link again to the book in the chat. I put it in when you started reading, but just in case anyone is here who hasn't pre-ordered the book yet and would like to, the link is in there. And also, if you're watching this video on YouTube and you wanna buy the book, I'm pretty sure Rudy will add the link to the thread that will be the Twitter thread that goes with the reading. Anyway, Colton, so man, congratulations. It's been really fun to watch this book evolve from week to week because a lot I think all of the pieces you read tonight, and I think a lot of the pieces in the book you've read here before, and it's been a kind of wild experience, not only to watch this book evolve, but to watch you evolve as a writer, since I think we were one of the first publications to publish you way back when in 2019 or 2020.
yep, it was
Um,
2020. I remember that was that was just the best acceptance email I'd ever gotten, and like told my friends like I got published in Misery Tourism. There, it's like a weird indie publication online. I'm super happy about it. They were like, "All right, Colin. All right, cool. Let's go drink, dude."
No, man, but it's been really fascinating and really gratifying and really enjoyable to watch your style evolve over the years. Since you've been like a staple of misery tourism for so long. And I think you made a really good choice in terms of the pieces to read tonight, because these are really some of the best examples of your work. And not only that, they're really perfect, like they perfectly encapsulate what your work does well, right? And I've said this a million fucking times, but that like kaleidoscopic quality that it has, that sense of like seeing the entire world in its beauty and in its ugliness, in its graphicness, and its romantic qualities, and and its deep humanity, right? All at once in this like marvelously unfiltered way. This sense of having to like choke down the entire pill of human existence in one gulp, right? It's so good. And there's no one else out there doing it quite the way you do, and doing it with the same intensity and the same variety and the same like morbid beauty. So man, congratulations again. I'm so glad the book is out, and I'm so glad that Misery Tourism has been able to be a part of this fucking process, man. Thank you.
Man, it has just been cool to like I don't know when I don't fucking know how I found misery tourism. First of all, I don't fucking know how. I was just on Twitter in 2019, and I remember one time, I just randomly picked up a fucking oh god, that nudist bodybuilder from Japan who killed himself. Fuck, I forget. Yukio Mishima.
Mishima? Yeah.
I just randomly found his book in the philosophy building that was being demolished at my college. And then I go online and there's like a cult following of bodybuilders on Twitter following this guy. So I'm like, okay, let's see what this leads me. And then I guess through fucking Bronze Age pervert, I got to misery tourism, and it's just been super interesting. And I almost got, not almost, they think they were being imploded, but if anyone remembers the Autistic Mercury, that's where I first submitted a piece, like outside of like school or university publications. And it was like Contbot and that weird like other dude, I forget his name, but like they split up. And so my piece just like died in the ether in the email and never got responded to. And so I edited it and put it in eyes. And, but like, I don't know. It's a weird journey. Yeah. I think about how depressed I was during the pandemic and like finding y'all and just like, I don't know. I thought I was going to leave social media forever, but I'm just keeping on X and Twitter for a little while longer while this just continues to be like, just a cool, like, I don't want to say community because community is outdated, but like just this collection and like little intimate, touchable like experience with people that write well and are funny and do good work and are just artistic and autistic and all different fun, cool levels. Like it's cool to be a part of and to see and to be like, I always feel like it's hard to really know when you're a part of something because like I feel like you miss it or like you get to when everything's getting good and when like a person dies or like someone leaves the band or like and you're like, oh fuck, I missed it. But like I feel like, just being a part of like Misery Loves Company and like having something published in Misery Tourism, like 20 years down the road, people are gonna think I'm fucking royalty for that shit. And everybody else too, god damn it. Like that is a fucking badge of honor. That is cooler than a Pokemon badge, a fucking police badge, anything. Like that I will go to the grave with. Like that'll be on my fucking headstone. Uh, but it's been an honor. And just that anyone who reads or comes to these things, like this is where like you get just like a nice, cool, weird confidence, and like you get to just be this douchebag, scumbag, asshole, abusive, whatever, artist, poet, bodybuilder, fucking drug addict, whatever. You can just come here and just do whatever and put in as long as it's cool and good and like, it vibes well or whatever. Then hell, you can just come here and post dicks and we'll at least give you 5 seconds of time before we kick you out. Shit, it's just, this is a great place. And Rudy and William, y'all are great. Rudy does such a good job with the posters. Like, could not have put two greater weirdos together to make this shit happen. Like, fucking love you guys.
It was serendipity, really. It was the play. I mean, how else is it going to happen? You just run into someone on the playground in second grade. Come on. Right? It's so bizarre. Isn't it so bizarre? Like you think about like the editorial team or something from a publication. You're like, oh, well, they must have come together over their shared interest in the. It's like, no, I just do great. The motherfucker. I remember Rudy. I would I would be on the playground and he'd be off and he'd be like in his own world playing these like incredibly elaborate and bizarre like little games that had all these like incredibly even that had like rules that were too complicated for anyone else to fully appreciate. And I was like, this motherfucker, I was like, this is cool. Like everyone else here is boring. I'm gonna go and see what he's doing. And so I walked over to Rudy and I was like, what the I didn't say what the fuck are you doing because I was like 8 years old or whatever, but I was like, man, like what is this? Like, can I join in? And
I think the first thing we did together was convince this girl we were gonna blow up the world, and she cried or some shit. That was really funny. The teacher like talked to us like it's like, oh, so like you...
Yeah. And you know what? Our
got really upset.
tactics
Like,
haven't changed very much. And
no, they haven't. Colton, though, that was awesome, man. Like, yeah, like shout out to Dermisted Beatles and shit. But also the the Giles theme line fucking got me because it's such an upbeat like theme. It's not what you'd picture for stalking, but it's like it's also triumphant too. So
Yeah,
it's like,
dude,
yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm walking. I just picture this guy just walking around like, yeah, fuck with me, and just
dude.
like
All I can hope for is that there are some dudes in the Ukraine right now just listening to Giles' theme while they just fucking like go against Russians in the winter. I hope they like some like world historical like important feeling because like I have been just blitzed off my ass listening to that theme writing, and it's just like especially like during the snow, and I'm just like, oh god, it is such like a weird tingly sensation in my body. Can't explain it.
and Ukraine, there's probably niggas listening to that theme while the Russians listen to, like, I don't know, the Zangief theme or something. There's got to be a battle of the bands going on over there. That's why I imagine it.
God damn it.
This big hairy fucking Russians just like.
All right. Well, I'm getting the sense
Anyway.
that we're already basically at the after party here. So I'm gonna wind this thing down. So that
Congratulations,
we
man.
stop recording before somebody says something that has to be edited out of the YouTube video.
William's about to blow up fucking Misery Loves Company. I have the code.
So anyway, this has been a really fantastic time. Colton, congratulations again on the book at Abuser. And once again, if you want to buy the book, the link is in the chat. The link's going to be on Twitter. Go buy the fucking book. Colton has put a lot of work into this, and it's kind of the culmination of what he's been doing for a few years now. So buy the fucking book. And on top of that, I want to thank everyone who read tonight. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Adam from Florida. Thank you, the ghost of Adam Johnson. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Alyssa. And of course, thank you, Colton. So that's it. That's fucking it. We're done. If just to give my usual closing blurb, we do this every fucking week, every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Anyone is welcome to come and join us. Anyone is welcome to come and share their work if it's one of the nights that we have an open mic. We tweet out the link right before we begin from our Twitter account at Misery Tourism, all one word. And yeah, man, yeah, guys, that's fucking it. It's been a great night. Thank you so much. Bye.